Welcome back to Amani Beware. So today, guys, I'm going to be making some elastic stretch bracelets, and I'm so glad that you're spending some of your time with me today. I'm going to show you step by step how I make them, and let's get right to it. Okay, so as you guys know, I am going to be using Stretch Magic. I use the 1mm size. I also like to use the 8mm, but right now I'm using the 1mm elastic size, as you can see here. I do like to use this. It's very durable. I like it for my bracelets as well as my elastic waist beads. Let me also show you guys another elastic that I do like to use on bracelets. Let me get it for you. So I do like to use the Opaline. Let me show you guys that. So this Opaline is really good for bracelets. I haven't really used this for waist beads, but I know it's really good for bracelets as well. It's really bouncy, it's more flexible than the Stretch Magic. And again, this is Opaline, but this Opaline also is the size 0.7 millimeters, so it's a lot thinner, I guess you can say, than this 1mm Stretch Magic. Now, the Stretch Magic that's like a smaller size, like the 5 and the 8mm, is going to be a lot more flexible than the 1mm. But again, this Opaline is really good if you like it. The only thing the only con I have about using Opaline is because if you're using any jump rings or any stones or any glass beads that have a rugged texture, or if it's been like some of the stones and crystals have been cut and so they have sharp edges, it will make your Opaline not be as durable and not as, it won't have a longevity to it, because the way that these fibers are in Opaline, if your edges are sharp, it's gonna like start to shard and shred this, and then your bracelet is gonna pop. But other than that, if you're using just smooth surfaces, beads that don't, like, I wouldn't recommend this with wood beads, because they have a lot of splinters. I wouldn't use this with any crystals or stones that have been cut where it's rugged or sharp around the edges and not smooth. So you definitely want to keep that in mind. Other than that, this is a great elastic to use if you want your item to bounce right back to shape. So that's that. So, just try it out and see how it works for you. I don't want to discourage you from buying the Opaline. As you can see, I have all of this, and I decided, that for certain projects, I like the Stretch Magic better. You definitely, when you're beading, you definitely want to make sure that you test different materials to see what you like better as opposed to other ones. So, okay, so as you can see, guys, I don't want to make this video too long, but I don't want to make it too short either. But I don't want to rush through it. So if you have any questions along the way, you can definitely ask me in the comments. These are some of the bracelets I've already started. I always think to start these projects and then I'll be like, hey, why don't you record? So I'm going to show you what I've already started. So these are going to be bracelet sets for the website. And these are also going to be sets of 2. So with each bracelet set, you're going to get 2 bracelets. So, like, for example, with this one has it's going to be pink with this one has a charm here, a heart charm, and it's got the little crystal ball, disco ball here. And then the one that comes with it is going to be, it has a bar here, and then it's got pink, and it's got some pearl. Now this is pink with rose gold accents. Okay, so this right here is one set. I hope you can see that good. I don't know how well my lighting is. So that's one set. I'm working on the second set. So this one's going to be a little different. This one is not going to have a charm on it, but it does have the little wheel, blinged out wheel here, and then it's got the disco ball here. Like I said, I hope my lighting is showing this good, guys, but it is blinged out. And then for the second one, it's going to have, again, this different type of bead. It's got a little bit of gold shimmers in it. And this one, instead of a charm, it's going to have a bar. It's also going to have 2 dice that are also blinged out. And it's going to have a crown. Now, these are the rose gold accents that will be on the second bracelet for this set. So that's going to be that. And then I have these beads here that I'm also going to be working with. And I'm not quite sure yet what design I'm going to use for these. I typically think it out beforehand. I look at the beads and I decide how I want the bracelet to look. And sometimes I just, you know, start working on it and I go from there, whichever way my energy leads me to make the bracelet. That's how I do it. So we know what design we're going with. I know that I'm going to be using the rose gold accents. I know I'm going to be using the pink beads with the gold accents in it. And I'm going to be using the pearl beads. So since I know which beads I'm going to be using, I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to measure out my elastic. Now for bracelets, the average size for women bracelets are between 6.5 and 7 inches. So I do like to use 7 inches. Trust me, I've tested and retested even after my initial launch last year. And I was making my bracelets too big. And I was making them too big because I was thinking about the width of hands. And I have a pretty good size hand. But when it comes to the bracelet, you do want your bracelets to roll over your customer's hands. But you don't want it to be so big that it's coming off their wrist or sliding too much. So you want them to be comfortable but not too tight. So in the beginning, guys, I did struggle with how do I measure for so many different hand sizes? Because nobody is the same, right? Well, I think I figured out the formula for me, and I make my bracelets 7 inches unless the beads are super, super small, then I would make them between 7 to 7.5 inches. If they're really big, then definitely 7 inches. When it comes to men bracelets, that's a whole nother story. So, so what you want to do is you want to take your elastic and you want to go ahead and measure that out. So I'm going to measure it, not 7 inches, because remember, you need to tie a knot. So I'm going to measure it a little bit more than 7. I'm going to measure it a little bit more than 7 so that I can get enough to tie with. And when I first started, I would measure it out all the way to 14 inches to make sure I had enough room to tie. I've been doing it enough now. I measure it about 10 inches, maybe even less. But I go ahead, I measure out. I'm going to cut it. And because I'm using 1mm stretch magic, I'm going to take this and I'm going to stretch it. I'm going to stretch that elastic out so that as my client wears them, it would already have hopefully stretched to the max, and it won't seem to the client that it's getting bigger and bigger every time they wear it. So I'm going to give it a good stretch. Don't have to do too much, but I'm going to stretch that out. And then what I'm going to do, guys, is I'm going to go ahead and start beading. Now, and let me just plug this, because if you guys are following me, you know I always start with a clean workstation. I always start with clean hands, clean mind, and clear positivity. You don't see this in this video because, like I said, I had already started. Okay, so now that we have our elastic stretched the way we want to, now if you're beginner, and you might want to get you what's called a bead clamp and clamp the end of your, whether you're using elastic or string or wire, you might want to clamp the end so that as you're beading, your beads won't come off on the end and then you're frustrated and you have to start over, right? So what I typically do, I never bought those. I've seen some hacks on TikTok. You can try whatever works best for you. I've seen people tape the end of their threading to the table. What I generally do, if I feel that I need to, a lot of times I don't. It just depends on what I'm working with, the materials I'm working with, the weight of them. You can take, like, I use a lot of Tupperware bowls for my beads and my findings. So what I do is I can just get one of my containers that's got a good weight to it, and I'll just set it on top of the end of my elastic, so that way when I'm beading, it won't go out the end. But also, like I said, sometimes I don't even have to do that. It just depends on the materials I'm using, because I can go ahead and start beading on this end and I'll keep it from going out. So at this point, I'm gonna go ahead and start beading, guys. I'm gonna speed this part up. So now what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna take both ends of the elastic and I'm gonna make a knot. So it's just like when you're getting ready to tie your shoes or with any knot. You're gonna take your two ends and you're gonna loop them together, and I just pull gently just to get it like this. I don't pull too tight. And then I'm gonna make my other little loop here, just as if I'm tying my shoes to start. Now when I get that, I'm gonna take it and I'm gonna pull really tight. So I'm gonna pull this tight. Also, what you can do, because sometimes elastic can be slippery, especially if you use Germ-X on your hands to keep your hands clean, you can take your flat nose wire, your flat nose tool, flat nose pliers. What's wrong with me today? Anyway, you can take these. You can hold one end of your elastic, right? Take your other side of your elastic and then you pull with both ends. And you're gonna use your flat nose pliers to really pull that knot, and then do the other side. And that's just gonna tighten your knot, because I use so much Germ-X that sometimes it's kind of hard to grip elastic to make the knot. So I'm gonna definitely do one more knot. So I'm just gonna do one more loop to make it 3 times total. And depending on the heaviness of the bead, I may do 4. But for these, I'm just gonna do 3. As you can see, I tightened it with the help of these flat nose pliers. And then I'm gonna kind of like pull it apart here, guys. Just pull it apart so I can see that knot. And what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna grab both ends of this elastic, not the loose ends, but the ends that's actually the bracelet, and I'm gonna pull a little bit. That's gonna help tighten that knot. Now don't pay attention to these nails. These nails need to get done, y'all. So tighten that knot. I think it's good and tightened. The good news about this bead, and this is the reason why I decided to put the knot here, is because this bead hole is big, and that knot can go in there and it will hide it. I hate when my knots are showing. Sometimes I can't help it, but I don't like to see my knot showing. And so for this particular style bracelet with these big hole beads, I'm able to hide that knot inside of that bead. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to cut these ends off. So I use barber scissors when I get ready to cut to the knot, because I want to get as close to the knot as possible without so close to the knot that the knot's going to come loose. Make sense? And it does take, for me, it took a little practice. Sometimes I don't always get it right either. But if you do cut it too far out, they'll be sticking out. They could irritate the customer, pinching the customer, things of that sort. But you don't want to get it so close to the knot that your knot may come loose either. So anyway, you're going to cut those ends. And like I said, you see that knot? You can see that knot there. Can you see that? Let me show you. I don't know. Can y'all see that knot? Anyway, I don't know how to do that. So anyway, so I can actually push that knot in that bead, and it's going to cover that knot, and it's going to hide that knot, and I love it. So that's the second one for this set. Let's see. Make some room here. I hope that's focusing in for you. Is it focusing? I hope so. This one has a charm bling. Let's see if we can turn it around. Now, one thing I want to show you guys, and I'm glad I thought about it right here, in between these two pink beads here, you can see that knot. And also on this one, the knot is visible here. But what's going to happen is I'm going to put some rose gold crimp beads over this knot and over this knot. Now, to make this one look more uniform, I'm also going to put one on the other side of this disco ball. That way it will be balanced. So I'll have a rose gold bead here and one here, and then I'll have a rose gold bead here. And what those crimp beads are going to do, they're going to cover those knots so that those knots will not be visible. So guys, those are that set that I'm working on. These are going to go on the website. They will be sold paired up like this, these two together, and these two together. So there's only going to be two of these guys, one with the charm, one without a charm. So these are going to be available on the website very soon. Stay updated on that. I'm not going to put them on the website right now because I want to put my whole new spring line on there together. You guys are Money Angels, so you're getting an exclusive sneak peek. So that's it. Now, one thing I was thinking about doing, and I don't know if I'm going to do this or not, I was thinking about adding a third bracelet to this set, which would be just a pearl strand. I was thinking about just adding just a pearl strand to this set. That way it would be a trio bracelet set. Tell me what you think. It would be nice. That would be kind of cute. I'm thinking about doing that. Thank you so much again for spending some of your time with me here at Imani Beware. I'm going to go ahead and complete making the bracelets for the website. And I'm also making some wordy bracelets for an event that I have coming up. So I'm going to be in the workshop all day today. But I definitely wanted to go ahead and show you guys the method I use when making my bracelets. Let me know in the comments what you think. What if you make bracelets as well? Let me know what type of materials you use or how you like it, or just let's communicate and stay in touch. And if you're not a beader but you're interested in purchasing yourself some handmade custom beaded bracelets, definitely check out my website at AmaniBeadwear.com. And I want to say thank you so much to all my angels. If you're not following the channel, your subscription would be appreciative. I appreciate all of you, and I hope that you have a wonderful day. Always remember that you are amazing.